some really interesting noise, and it must be some lion hunting buffalo. These lion, the Nkahuma Pride, just got up, and we've only seen 5 members of the Pride. We're not sure where the other 3 could be, and literally just this second, I've heard a buffalo. I'm fairly certain it's a buffalo bellowing and some noise of branches crashing. These lions don't seem to be moving too quickly towards that, which is interesting, but you've come at a very good time. Interestingly enough, 1 or 2 of the Pride members are quite full-bellied, and they must have killed something small, and the bigger and stronger lions from this Pride would have outcompeted the rest. So some of them are fairly full-bellied, but the others aren't. So I'm just going to try and get ahead of them here and then stop, and that way we can listen again and try and work out what exactly is going on. Here, some branches breaking behind us, and I'm not sure exactly. Something interesting is going on, and time will tell. We are heading towards that noise, and the fact that 3 members of this Pride are missing is also quite interesting. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but let's go and try and find out. For those of you who have just joined, my name is Scott, and on camera with me this morning is VM. Oh, I can see the buffalo up ahead of us. Okay, so we're going to see some kind of action. The buffaloes seem relaxed, they're standing still. Let's work out exactly what's going on shortly. There was one lioness while we were sitting and waiting with them at Ria Telegram that was looking in this direction, and it was obviously the buffalo that she had heard. Looks like a large herd of buffalo bulls. Just going to try and get us into a good spot. We don't want to get too close to the action, but we do want to get close enough to show you what's going on. So let's just wait up over here. Buffalo are coming straight towards us. So let's hope that we don't get caught in the stampede. There's one lioness just to our right on the other side of this termite mound, and it's not a herd of buffalo bulls, it's actually a breeding herd of buffalo. So this is a large herd, and there's both females and males within it, which is perfect for lions because there's different sized prey that they can take down, not only the very large bulls. Now, VM, if you just pan to the right of this termite mound, you can see one lioness. She is fairly well hidden from the vegetation. There she comes, there she comes. Look at this. This is incredible, and it's a great opportunity for the Nkahuma Pride. There's a few young buffalo in this herd. She's probably about 20 meters away from the buffalo. I'm not sure where the rest of the Pride are, but at any moment they could surge forward and start chasing these buffalo. What a start it is to the morning. And it's so good to have all of you with us live. Who knows what's going to happen next? There's another lioness that's just popped up on our left, VM, just to keep you updated. she's just going to move a few meters from our car. The buffalo are looking at her, so they know she's here. And look at them looking at us. The lion has just moved behind the back of the vehicle. And it's a mixed herd, and that's really important. There's females, youngsters, and males. And we don't often get these breeding herds of buffalo. No sign of Junior, which is a bit disappointing. The young male, his size and strength could be utilized in a buffalo hunt. There's one big buffalo bull here who's come to investigate even closer, and it's not uncommon for buffalo to... Oh, here we go, here's some action. Look at this. Incredible. But like so often, it's the buffalo bulls that show the lion who's boss. And you saw one lion on the termite mound crouching down almost away from the buffalo. That's not to say the action's over here, because if the pride continues to pressure this herd, they could somehow get lucky to bring down a youngster. The problem they then face is that the rest of the herd will regroup and come and try and chase the lions off whatever animal they've managed to bring down. What I'm going to try and do is, it's a tricky one, I would like to try and reposition but we don't have many angles, so I'm just going to sit tight for a moment or two. And I was hugely surprised when all of this unfolded. When we initially came across this pride, like I said, we noticed that one or two of them were relatively full-bellied. And what this means is that we'd probably expect them to be sleepy all day. Moments later, they got up, and now look what we're watching, some incredible lion-buffalo interaction. You may be quite surprised at the response of the buffalo to the lion, but it's important to remember that these buffalo come across lion very often, and they know, especially during the daylight hours, that they can overwhelm lion. Oh wow, look at that. So it's a bit of a standoff at the moment, and it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens next. Here comes one lioness approaching from the right. This buffalo bull on the left may come forward and chase her. No, he's deciding against that. Hard to tell how many buffalo are here, maybe about 50 or 60. But we may not see the rest of the herd, which could be backed up a couple of hundred meters to the north of us. They could leave stragglers or older members of the herd behind, and it's less easy to stay in control of a scenario if everyone just stampedes off. So it's best for them to group up like this and stay as a unit. That way, try and keep lions at bay. The lion now have the predicament that they are battling to penetrate this mass of buffalo because they do know that there's a threat. They are aware of what to do now, and by staying huddled up with all of the young in the middle and the big bulls usually around the outside, they can keep these lions at bay. The lions know that they can wait and keep following this herd, and often lions will follow buffalo herds for many hours during the daylight, waiting for darkness to fall when it's easier to hunt them. Let's wait and see what happens here. And this commotion could even attract other lions that have been seen nearby in Buffalo's Hook. There's talk of the Styx males and the Birmingham Coalition. And with all of this noise, as well as the fact that there's a lot of food here that male lions will often follow, who knows, possibly other lions could arrive on the scene. I am going to try and get us around onto the other side of this action because we can't see anything from here, and we can quite easily move around onto the other side of this herd where most of the lions are. Great to have Texan and Aubrey with us, two junior guys, and their guests have all got big smiles on their faces. This is some seriously awesome action we're watching here. And I'm going to cut across to James quickly while we reposition. We'll see you shortly.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Giga. We've just stopped here to try and show you the sunrise quickly. I know you're enjoying the lions and the buffalo, which I'm quite jealous about, but we're just going to give you a quick view of the magnificent African sun that has popped up over the horizon and is now casting its golden rays over this magnificent African dawn. Yeah, the francolins are now coming alive. Beautiful sounds of crested barbets. It just feels like the world's come alive, and clearly it has, as you've had those magnificent lions and buffalo. So before the buffalo or the lions go to sleep, which is their general bent for the day, and while there's a little bit more action happening with them, we'll take you back over to Scott and see you a little bit later. We're going to go and check the hyena den, and if there's anything exciting there, we'll let you know as soon as possible.
Welcome back, everyone, and this sunrise is too good to not show you, so that's why we shot you across to James quickly. Nothing's happened since we've repositioned. Most of the pride are all lying up together there, it looks like, and the buffalo are probably around 20 or 30 meters off to their left. So the standoff continues, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens next. There you can see, oh, here we go. Is this buffalo going to come in and chase them? It looks like he will. Incredible how close he's willing to go towards them. And these big old bulls command a lot of respect. Look at how beautiful that is. I'm tempted to, I wonder if I should move or not. No, we'll stay here. Well, we've just got a question through from Velma on Michigan. Look at that. And initially we only saw 5 members of this pride, Velma. There's usually 8 of them, but I'm not sure where the other 3 were, and I've lost track of whether they've rejoined the pride or not. But last we knew there were 5, and look at how beautiful this is to see such incredible action with an awesome sunrise right behind us. Is not something that happens every day. Look at the lion up in the marula tree. incredible. We were chatting earlier about Junior and why he hasn't got involved. I think a contributing factor to Junior's lack of involvement this morning is that his belly was the fullest out of all of the members that did look like they had a bite to eat last night. It really would be interesting to know what they caught, because only 2 of them out of the 5 appeared to be full-bellied. And apologies to hear about the tech issues from earlier. I hear some of you had no picture and others no audio. And just to recap, Katrina's interested to know whether this is a breeding herd of buffalo or a bachelor herd. And it's actually a breeding herd. We don't see them very often here on Djuma. And that looks like it could be a female's head that we can see on the left of the screen. She lacks the keratin crown or big boss, which you can see on the buffalo in the foreground. So that's a perfect comparison between male and female. Look at how the male's horns bulge up together, and the females are not so much. So if you keep on the 2 on the right, Fiam, now that she's turned and faced us, the one on the far right, she's got a hairy middle parting, and sadly she's just disappeared out of view. But it's a mixed herd. There's a few youngsters that I've seen. And at the moment, it's a standoff. 1 or 2 of the lions are up in the marula, fallen down marula tree. And the buffalo are almost completely relaxed, it appears. It's bizarre. So there's been a lot of discussion, I'm told, about different tactics that these lions could use when hunting buffalo. And lions' best ally when hunting buffalo is chaos and confusion. Now, during the daylight hours, that's harder for the lions to create because the buffalo can see them, and when they can see the threat, it's better for them to plan and handle the scenario. Whereas under cover of darkness, it becomes easier for lion to chase buffalo and scatter the herd, and that way try and pick off some young or weak members. At the moment, it's going to be very difficult for the lions to penetrate this herd, and even if 2 or 3 of them stay on one side and create a distraction while the rest of the pride move around to the other side of the herd, there are buffalo bulls encompassing all of the females and youngsters within this herd, and as soon as any threat appears from another angle, the lions will let off a bellow, and they will all know to regroup and reassess what to do. So it's not an easy business, and often waiting and patience is what the lions will do, and trail the buffalo and continue to trail them until an opportunity arises. But at the moment, it looks like These buffalo have got absolutely nothing to worry about. They're very much in control of the situation, and it's the lions who are yet again being showed up by the buffalo. I'm just going to creep forward a few meters. That is where, in all likelihood, they were planning on heading for a drink. So possibly if their thirst overwhelms them and they want to carry on to the waterhole, we could maybe see some more action then with the lion. Mike in Florida, good morning and good to have you with us. Mike's interested to know how long will the lion trail the buffalo before an opportunity arises to make a kill? It's a tricky one to answer. It all depends on the individual pride and how desperate they are. But I've known of lion following herds of buffalo for up to 4 or 5 days, or almost permanently, catching certain individuals, feeding on them, catching up with the herd again until after often several days of hunting, they'll manage to bring down another one. So it can be an ongoing and long process for the lion. But the reason why they do it is that if they do manage to take down a buffalo, it's a substantial kill with a lot of food on that will keep them sustained for several days. Some of the buffalo are even continuing to graze, which is incredible. And even though the lions are a few meters away, again, they seem quite relaxed. Dylan in Iowa would like to know how long is the longest buffalo-lion standoff I've ever seen. And I've seen lions trailing buffalo for the complete or the entire day. So during the daylight hours, they will continue to trail the buffalo, keeping an eye on them and waiting for cover of darkness. So this scenario is quite interesting because I'm surprised at how long they've all been stationary in the same position for. But they could continue to stay there for quite a lot longer at this rate. And another lion's just gone up into this fallen down marula tree. What an incredible sight this is. Well, if any of you are joining for the first time, you've chosen a very good time to start watching Safari Live. This is some incredible interactions, and we're getting some beautiful, beautiful shots of not only the lion, but also the buffalo. It's a live safari, so what we're seeing is happening this very second, and it's so good to have all of you with us. I'm sure a lot of you are scratching your heads wondering why this is happening and why the buffalo haven't run off. But you do get these interesting surprises out here. And the Cape buffalo commands a lot of respect from even the lion in this area. And it's with huge risk that lion will hunt buffalo. We were talking earlier about buffalo bulls. The individual that you can see now clearly has a very prominent middle parting, which is enlarged and made out of keratin. So it's a very bony structure on the center of his head. Whereas the females, which I'm looking for one of now, will have very hairy middle parting, and there won't be that keratin crown. Let's see if we can find a good example for you. All the ladies are hiding. Ah, there's one with her head down, I think. Oh no, that's a young bull. Apologies. Keep a close eye out though, and you'll clearly notice the females that have a distinctively different center part of their horns. Peggy would like to know if these buffalo would act any different if there was a large male or more males advancing on them. And yes, they certainly would potentially act differently, even if there was simply more lioness here to create more chaos and confusion. And if the lion were very confident, look at how awesome this is, if the lion were very confident in pushing the buffalo, a lot of it is a kind of mental battle that they're fighting against one another. And we certainly could expect to see different behavior. Oh, the lion is seeking refuge in the tree. And this is absolutely awesome. There's not going to be enough space for all of them shortly if that buffalo continues. But most certainly, Peggy, we could expect to see an array of different scenarios. That's actually a female that went up to those lioness. Even the ladies are getting involved and letting these lions know what they think about them. I'm guessing these lions are going to wait for the buffalo to continue moving, and when they do, they may trail slowly behind, waiting to see if there's any weakened members that they can try and pick off. Laura would like to know if one of these lionesses fell off the marula tree, could the buffalo trample her? And most certainly they could. They will often use their horns to toss the lion into the air and also to push down on them and crush them into the ground if they do manage to get a hold of them. And lion do fairly regularly get very badly injured by buffalo and or even killed. Typically, though, the trampling will be the last steps once the lion is unable to move anymore. And it's their horns that they will use initially to inflict as much damage to the lion as they can. It looks like the herd are now slowly beginning to continue moving towards the waterhole. And as they move, some of them are even grazing, which is such a surprise to see. And it can be difficult for you to perceive distance from the angles you're getting, but currently the buffalo in front of us over here is probably only about 20 meters from the lion, and when the buffalo were going much closer to the lions earlier, they were probably only 4 or 5 meters away, so very, very close. And crazy to see this interaction between the two species. It sounds like James has found you some other interesting action though. So while we work out what's going on here, we'll send you across to James and we'll see you a bit later.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Giga. I believe you've been having a spectacular time with Scott and the lions and buffalo, and I'm extremely jealous. But we've come here to this magnificent little hyena den, where there looks to be 2 adult males who I haven't seen before, That's one in your right of picture is an adult male, looks like, and then also to the left chewing there looks like a sort of youngish female, so you can see the nice size difference there. And we also had the mother if you look far right of your picture, that standing up there is the mother who's suckling one of the youngsters. She looks, she's got a very heavy belly and she looks almost pregnant again, but I would be extremely surprised if she was. She's looking a bit moth-eaten and old, so it's quite interesting to see her that she's obviously still breathing though. And then the reason we've parked where we have is that we are hoping that the tiny little one that we saw the other day might pop its head out. It's probably about 10 days to 2 weeks old, and it will come out just on the left-hand side of your picture there. That's the mother there. She's just kind of got her backside half into the hole. She's probably suckling the youngster. That crunching noise is a young female making short work of a groovier tree. There's the little one, there's the little one. Isn't that fantastic? That's why we came here, everybody. Just hope it comes out again. There he is. I don't know if you can hear the adult. The adult's making little grunting noises. Isn't that wonderful? Chandra, can you hear that through the mic?
Yeah.
It's amazing. This is my first time to see this. Oh, there comes the glorious golden light onto them. I think that's a young adult female. There comes a little thing. Just spotted us. That is just so special. Look how the mother is totally unfazed by anything at all. And this little auntie, your cousin, is fascinated by the baby. It might even be a sister, you know. Given the mother doesn't look very young, and she is big. Oh, look at that. So that might be a sister. We're going to go, we're going to stay here. We're going to go across to Scott. I think there is high action with the lions, and we'll see you just now.
Welcome back, and we've repositioned. We are now on the other side of that tree that they've all been lying on. The last lioness has just come down from it that you saw, and it looks like they may be trying to probe at this herd of buffalo again. Oh, there go the buffalo, and that's what the lion want. They want this chaos and confusion. Look at the dust rising up, and there goes some lion. Kind of half-heartedly, but they will continue to try and seek out weaknesses. We're going to continue now to try and see exactly what's happened, but I'm guessing things would have calmed down once we get there, and the buffalo again would have possibly regrouped. Let's try and get there as quickly as possible. Oh, hold tight. Trying to squeeze our way through very little gaps here. I don't think that one's going to work though. I hear you're getting some great visuals of those hyena, and it's not easy to decide where to show you or what to show you, but let's just have a quick look here. I'm sure you'd like to see the scene that is now unfolding after that little chase. Like I said, the buffalo appear to have regrouped. The lion are still pressuring them. There's two lionesses moving off to the side there. And it's this continual backwards, forwards that will happen until eventually the lion either give up or they succeed. But they will continue to put pressure on this herd. They know that their weakness is in here. We haven't seen any youngsters, although, Viam, let me just try and pan through the buffalo herd, because there are one or two very small buffaloes visible. So take a close look. Most of them will be sheltered in the center of the herd, but after that chaos and confusion, I've seen one or two small ones on the outskirts. Oh, there they go again. Here they go. Look at this. There's a youngster. There's a youngster on the outskirts of the herd you may have seen. It almost looked like a lion. Absolutely awesome. I am just going to reposition again quickly as they've moved off a little bit. This is some seriously awesome interaction between two eternal enemies, the lion and the buffalo. And I wonder if and when Junior will ever come and start getting involved in the action here. Look at all that dust. Incredible. Junior. VM's just spotted Junior. And finally, this might make a difference. Won't this be interesting to see what happens with the added strength of Junior now that he's finally got involved? And we are going to reposition again. There's some more action going on out there. And I don't want to miss any of this. This is really awesome stuff to be capturing and sharing with you live. And we want to always try and keep ourselves in a position to show you as much as we can without interfering in what's going on. But as you can see, they're interested in their own dispute here. We are merely onlookers. We've just got an interesting question through from Wesley, and he would like to know if buffalo are the most unpredictable animals in the bush. And I wouldn't say that categorically, Wesley, but they certainly do have a very short fuse, and it's one of the last animals that I would like to encounter when on foot. And as you can see from the command, the respect they're commanding from these lions, they are a force to be reckoned with. Unpredictable? Not necessarily. Most wild animals are unpredictable, but they certainly do have a very short fuse. There's another lioness just walking past our vehicle. What a morning this is. Again, I want to try and keep us up close with the action, but I'll just enjoy this, let you enjoy this beautiful scene as VM follows this lioness towards the rest of that herd of buffalo. But judging from her increased intensity there, I wonder what's going on. It might be worth us shooting ahead. The buffalo have now veered back in the direction they were coming from towards the north. So we're not going to see them drinking at Buffalo's Dam, which was their intentions, I think, before they came upon this private lion. I can see dust quite far from where we are, so I think these buffalo may have stampeded off in a easterly direction, it looks like. The lion, if they continue applying pressure like this, could at any point get lucky. I think while we get back into position, it might be a good opportunity to take you back to the hyena den side. I can't see any buffalo or lion for now, so it could take us a couple of minutes to get into position.
Hello everybody, welcome back. The little one is becoming more and more confiding around us, and he's just been playing and having a great time, and I believe the lions are tremendously exciting. I can actually hear the buffalo from here bellowing at the sight of those lions, so you must be having a wonderful time there. So Scott's just going to reposition, and while he's doing that, while he's repositioning, we're just going to have a look at these hyenas, and as soon as Scott is in position, and if anything else happens, we'll go straight back towards them. That little cub, I was hoping to show you, and maybe when she comes out again, I can hear the buffalo from here making a huge noise. That's wonderful. The cub is injured, and I think that speaks to the fact that she's probably a female who probably killed her sibling. You know, if two females are born, they will fight horrifically until one of them is dead, and I suspect that she's got scars all the way down her flanks and on her face, and I think that's what's happened. Hello, Tula. A very nice question. Hyenas, very unlike the other carnivores, are born with teeth and with their eyes open, so they can see as soon as they are born. You wanted to know if they can see, so yes, they can see, and they're much more what we call precocial than, say, some of the other predator babies. Lions are born blind, wild dog pups are born blind with no teeth, I think, and certainly so are the leopards and the cheetah. So, for example, a 10-day-old lion cub will be substantially less developed than this hyena. The other hyena have moved off just down the road. A very nice shot of them actually sitting down into the sun, walking down in sort of towards the sun. And I read yesterday, very interestingly, I was sort of comparing all the predators. And what happens is the hyenas are never brought meat. So they don't get meat brought to the den, and that means they tend to suckle for longer. They'll suckle for up to 6 months, in fact more in some cases. So if they're going to eat meat, they will have to go off with the adults and go and eat with them. So they've gone off with 2 young sub-adults and a couple of others just to see if they can find something to eat, I think. Hello, Gilly in Wisconsin. Lovely question. You want to know if only the alpha female breeds. Gilly, remember, these are not cats, at least not dogs. Well, they're not cats either, but they're more closely related to cats. There's no alpha female. There is a matriarch. Now, there's a subtle difference between an alpha female and a matriarch. In a wolf pack, for example, or in a wild dog pack, only the alpha female will breed. You're absolutely correct, but in a hyena clan, the matriarch will breed, but so will some of the other females. They don't cross-suckle, so totally unlike the wild dogs where only the alpha will breed. In the hyena case, all the females can breed, and those little ones that we've been seeing for a while, I don't think that they are the offspring of the matriarch. I think the mother that was suckling them earlier is substantially smaller than that female who's just stood up now. I think that's the matriarch of this clan. And I think that little baby stands to inherit unless the adult next to her, so that sort of young female to the right of the matriarch that you can see now, unless she is going to inherit from her mother. They've smelt or seen something. They're up and they're a little bit uneasy. There's the little one coming out now. Look at that. It's probably just maybe 10 days old, maybe 2 weeks. And look how fascinated its relative is. It's just like an adoring auntie or sister. See, I don't know if you managed to see there. Just look carefully. There's a scar there on the right shoulder. There are a few scars on the face and definitely on the feet. Definitely some scars on the feet already. Hello, Maggie in Vancouver. You want to know if that adoring auntie or sister would hurt the baby? I don't think so at all, Maggie. I think she's entirely safe. In fact, just very well protected. I don't think there's any chance of her hurting it. They've heard something or smelt something. You can see they're on high alert. And when that tail goes up like that, they are semi-alarmed. Here comes another youngster. Look. So this one's mother has gone off to forage. This clan seems to move around a lot during the day. A question from Rena with you wanting a fairly black and white answer, but I'm not sure I can give you one. Rena, you want to know, is this hyena going to survive? Do I think it will, the little one? Rena, I'd say pretty good chance, because there are so many adults around. Hyenas are very protective. They're much sort of more protective of their babies than, say, leopards or lions, or certainly the leopards or cheetahs. And the reason for that is, of course, that they live in a group. So, Rena, it's not to say that leopards are bad mothers, but if the adult gets injured, so if a mother leopard gets injured, her baby will die anyway. So she has to be very careful about whether she, the risk she takes in protecting her baby over perhaps sacrificing a youngster and then trying again later on and maintaining her health. Whereas hyenas don't have to do that because they live in a group so that they can take risks. So if there's a threat to the baby, the chances of them fighting that threat is very strong. So the hyena baby, I'm going to show you with my hands how big it is about that size. Maybe that size. So about a foot long. Tiny little thing. That's the mother. That's the matriarch. Hello, Terry. You want to know what percentage of hyena will make it to adulthood? Terry, let's just break this question down. First of all, remember they tend to kill each other if two females are born together. They do fight a lot as youngsters. So let's pretend all of that has happened. So the chances of this one on its own now getting to adulthood, I'd say are pretty good. And out here, pretty good is anything above 50%. So while I don't know the exact answer, Terry, I would say that this hyena has probably got a 60% chance of getting to survival, getting to adulthood, versus a leopard, for example, which is 35%, and a male lion of getting to dominance. I think he's got about a 10% chance. So really very good chance, and not nearly as a far greater success rate than, say, wild dog puppies, where they can have litters of up to 14, where you'll be lucky to get 4 out of that. Hello, Gwen, while I answer your question, just have a look at this little one's face. Look at the scarring above her eyes. Look at the scarring on the right shoulder as she comes out. And just look at the scarring on the feet. You want to know, how does such a tiny thing kill its sibling? Does it happen straight after birth? The answer is yes. Apparently they start fighting almost immediately after birth if there are two females. And they fight viciously. Remember, they're born with teeth, so they can do some serious damage almost at birth. And within a few days, the sibling will be dead. But that only happens when there are two females born. There are two males, or a male and a female born. The male will be subordinate almost immediately. And if they're two males, they don't compete. Mother looks exhausted. Right, we're going to pop across to Scott now for an update on the lion and buffalo epic that he's having, and we'll see you just now. back with us. I think Wendy had something of an issue. Jigger is still broadcasting. And here we are. The little one is back inside the den. Sorry, we can't go back to Scott. He's got some bad signal issues. But there isn't any real action happening right now, so don't worry, you're not missing out. As soon as Wendy's signal is returned, we'll go back to her. It's so interesting, you know, we come here in the mornings early, we find them here, the morning dissipates, as it's doing now, and these hyenas go off to forage, and you read in all the books that they are nocturnal. And I'm not convinced how nocturnal they actually are. I think they probably are able to be diurnal if they want to, and nocturnal if they want to. They've certainly got the eyes for it. They've certainly got the eyes for it, but so if you come here in the middle of the day, there's no one here. And they may be off resting in the bush, but that wouldn't make any sense. So I suspect that they're probably going off to forage or have a drink. There is a waterhole not too far from here. Another little one wanting to see his little cousin. Gilly and Peggy, you want to know what happens to the body of the youngster that's killed. Gilly, I'm afraid fairly gruesomely, I suspect the mother or another member of the clan will probably eat it. That's just how it works out here, because no nutrient can afford to be they can't afford to waste anything in the way of nutrients. So I've stuck my head in that den before to try and smell it, and there's almost no smell at all. But sitting where we are, Jean-Ray, can you smell that?
Slightly.
So there are a couple of piles of urine around the place, which are probably a bit smelly, but we saw one of them marking with an anal gland a bit earlier, and that was quite interesting. I've never seen that before, and I suspect that's got a bit of a pong to it. Just remember, if you're ever in the bush and you come out here, some of the stuff that we do out here is because we're trained, and others because we know the situation. So don't ever come to Africa, please, and stick your head in a hyena den without being given express permission to do so by someone very trained. You may find yourself with the small hyena attached to your nose as you run away. You smell that? Debbie, a nice question. You say, are they smelling or seeing something or hearing something? Or are they just more alert because of the little one? I think it's a combination of both. They definitely were sat up and they were looking around for a while, and then they'd go down again and then quickly sit up and look again, and they'd be just trying to look behind us and see if there was anything coming from behind us. There isn't. And now I don't think that they've smelt anything. I think the mother's gone off towards the water, and I think she'll probably go off and have a drink. And the rest will just be left kind of to the little one will be left to forage on his own, in her own, inside the burrow, where she's probably excavated a little hole for herself where that no one else can get into. Scott is back online. We're going to go across to him, and we'll probably these hyenas and see what else we can find. Enjoy the lions.
Welcome back, everyone. And after a long session of off-roading, we managed to relocate on the Nkuhuma Pride. They chased that herd of buffalo probably 3/4 of a mile, and the buffalo kept going, and the lion obviously didn't manage to pull down a weak or young member of that herd, and are now all rejoining with one another, regrouping, and heading back south towards the Vuyatila Dam. So we are going to continue to follow them. Sadly, they didn't have any luck, but they really did have an opportunity at the end there. And I'm wondering if it wasn't Junior, who's right at the back here now, whose presence did help get that buffalo herd moving as the lion would like them to. Because when he did come into the fray, that was when the herd did take off. It could have just been pure coincidence, and I'm more inclined to think that. You can see he's very full-bellied, and like I said earlier, a few of the members of the pride looked like they had a good feed last night, but it must have been something small where only the bigger pride members were able to compete and consume. They don't share out kills equally amongst the pride. You can hear him vocalizing gently. What it is he can hear, possibly wanting to reunite with another pride member. We haven't seen all 8 of them yet this morning, but I'm told that they were all in that initial sighting with the buffalo. Tom in California is interested to know if there's any way that they can communicate with one another in coordinating an attack. And they certainly can, Tom. It'll be different to the audible communication that we could possibly hear him murmuring now. It's more of a telepathic communication, just like sports team members who get used to playing with one another over the years. Lions will become used to hunting with other pride members and almost begin to understand one another's potential moves. And it's a silent operation when they're hunting, but they do seem to know their roles. They certainly do. He keeps looking back south. I wonder if there aren't more members, looking back north. I wonder if there aren't more pride members back there that he's calling. There's something that certainly has got his attention. Well, I hope you heard those soft contact calls he was making. And why is it that he's calling out longingly in that direction when we've seen the rest of the pride moving south away from here? Maybe they have split up again. I'm going to try and get us a little bit closer to him. If he does keep vocalizing, it'll be really great for you to hear and see. And now that he's laid down, I think it's a good opportunity for us to try and sneak a little bit closer. I really do wonder who it is he's communicating with. Like I said, there could be other members of his pride that have split up during that buffalo chase. Ephraim, I'm with the young Madoda. The rest of them were heading south towards the dam, but if you come up Gari Katlan, I can call you into the sighting with this young Madoda. Keep coming. We're about 200 meters north of there. I can hear the lions vocalizing. It sounds like a big male. This is really interesting. I don't know what's going on here, or which line these could be vocalizing. Is line audio coming from Buffelshoek somewhere north of Gari Katlan? Yes, I'm saying there are other lions vocalizing, Ephraim, in that position. If you switch off, you can listen. This is really interesting. What is going to happen here? It sounds like these lions are coming closer, and it could be possibly members of the Styx Coalition, other males. and we could see some serious action unfolding here. It sounds like the audio that's coming towards us is coming from closer by, or is coming closer by towards us, and they could be responding to his calls. Well, this is what we've been talking about for quite some time now, and there is going to be interaction and clashes between the different line. There's a lot of movement going on at the moment, and this could be our first actual example of it. Just going to have to concentrate now. I need to call Ephraim in. Here come the lion. It looks like just other members of his pride. Okay. Well, false alarm. It's not the Styx males, and it's a few lioness who probably followed the buffalo a little bit further into Buffelshoek, and here she's vocalizing. Absolutely awesome. Ephraim, you're getting quite close. You could head west into the block from there. What a magical morning it's been, and I'm so happy you've got to see and hear these lions vocalizing. And we all give Junior a little bit of a hard time, but wasn't it nice to see him waiting for the rest of the pride and calling them? This is perfect golden morning sunlight. Ephraim, I called you in earlier and you obviously didn't hear me. The rest of the pride have rejoined with them now, and they're continuing south parallel to Gari Katlan. Copy, I've just started my vehicle, you should hear me. Wow, this really is awesome, and I got so excited that I thought we were going to witness some action, but what we witnessed instead was some beautiful shots of those lioness walking with perfect golden sunshine on them. Well, while we try and follow these lions through this thick bush, and my signal's quite bad, we might want to send you back across to James, and we'll call you once we've got into a good spot.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Chiga. I believe you've had a magnificent time with the lions, and I, like I said earlier, am most jealous. I'm trying to feel happy for Scott. Difficult though, but we have had a magnificent morning ourselves. So those hyenas have all dissipated off. The nocturnal hyenas have gone off foraging in the middle of the day, which I think is very interesting indeed. We are now heading towards where we saw Shadow's cub Sindile yesterday, and if you don't know, Shadow is a 9-year-old female leopard, possibly the worst mother in the history of leopardhood in Sabi Sands. She has attempted and failed to raise 6 litters, and Shadow is, at least Sindile, is now 10 months old, and he looks to be doing okay, so that's good.
I must just say, I did some research last night on the back end of a comment from one of our resident leopard expert viewers, Ellen Fowler. I have made quite a lot of the fact that leopards don't teach their cubs to hunt quite like cheetahs do. It would seem that while not entirely wrong, certainly would seem to be more hunting that they do with their mothers than I thought at first. I've just never witnessed it. So the books will tell you that they do accompany the females on hunts sometimes, normally after about 11 years of age, not 11 years, 11 months. They will follow the mother on the hunt, but she will leave them before she makes the final stalk. Then some sources seem to indicate that they will teach the cub where to bite on the throat and that sort of thing. I've never seen that before, and I've seen quite the opposite in some cases. So it's probably, like in all things in biology, a fairly grey area where in some cases the mother might teach them to hunt, and in others they may well not. I've certainly never seen it. Cheetah, it's without question. They seem to do it just about all the time. Mother will bring back a semi-dead thing and for the cubs to play with and chase and learn to trip and then bite. But a lot of the leopard stuff, I think that sometimes, certainly for the little things, they learn to stalk and pounce just like a house cat does. So thank you, Ellen, for that interaction yesterday evening. Always fascinating to learn. Thanks very much for it. And if anybody else has got other sources and other anecdotes about such things, it'd be great to hear from them. Of course, leopard is sort of the Sabi Sands special. They're what made the Sabi Sands famous and pioneered by a chap called John Varty, who's made lots of films, and it was through his sort of tireless efforts to habituate leopards that the whole kind of leopard viewing thing in this area began. Often films have done that sort of thing for wildlife. The Jouberts, who Ellen mentioned last night, spent a long time with leopards up in at Mombo, which is a beautiful concession up in the Okavango Delta. Ooh. Jandre has spotted a bird. Jandre, what kind of bird is it?
Two trees.
It looks suspiciously like a dove. But I don't. Let's just have a look. Is that okay?
Keep your hands up more.
It is not quite a dove. Get in on it. It's quite an interesting bird. It's actually a very beautiful... Oh, there are a whole lot more of them there. Did you see them?
Yes.
I didn't see them. Shall I go back a bit for you?
Well, a bit of light.
Okay, let me just go back. I'll see if I can roll. No, Jiga doesn't do rolling. Jiga's aging bones are a bit stiff, so they don't roll. In fact, there's a giant flock of these birds here. Say when, Jean-Ray? When? This is a flock of green pigeons. Beautiful birds. All sitting about, just enjoying the warmth of the new day. All facing the sun. There's the first one we saw, and then there's a whole flock in here, and then there's another part of the flock in the tree behind. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 green pigeons sitting in a tree. There must be a song there somewhere. Now these are normally sort of fruitarian birds. They like to eat fruit, but obviously this time of the year they must take whatever they can, so they'll eat insects, and if they can find the odd grass seed, they'll eat that too. My father had a wonderful dog called Trubshaw, who I think I've mentioned before, and he was quite possibly the most stupid animal in creation, but he was a fantastic creature. And my parents live in the Eastern Cape, And they have a guava tree in their garden. And the green pigeons used to come and sit in the guava tree during guava season and eat themselves sick. And Trubshaw used to sit under that tree and bark boisterously at them for days because he felt extremely angry that they were stealing his guavas. He was the only fruit-eating Staffordshire Bull Terrier the world has ever produced. He'd eat about 7 guavas a day. So that is my story, anecdote of the green pigeon. We're going to carry on here. Scott is short of signal at the moment, but he's going to keep with the lions. So you're just going to travel around with us for a while, and we'll see if we can't follow up on the leopard just further forward. Jennifer in Toronto. Now, fascinating behavior that you've seen here. You said you've seen Karula bring a impala to her boys. Now, for those of you who don't know, her boys mean Quarantine and Kunuma. That's what their names are. And they're about 2.5 years old now. That is fascinating. Thank you, Jennifer. Can you just let me know in what state that impala was? Was it dead yet, or was it semi-alive, like a sort of a cheetah would do? Now that's really, really interesting stuff. She's obviously a highly successful mother, having raised at least 4 litters. So maybe it's more common than I thought it was. So we're coming into the area where we Sindile yesterday, in and around these sort of main road areas, so he can be a little bit difficult to track, but we'll see. We'll also get an update from next door. And a question from James, excellent name. You want to know if the hyenas are perhaps going across to harass the lions or the buffalo and get involved there. No, they went off in the opposite direction. If there'd been a genuine buffalo distress call, yes, then they may well have gone to get involved. They certainly pricked up their ears as soon as they heard the buffalo. And the buffalo were making that kind of, not quite distress call, it's more like an alarm call. It's sort of a sort of burping noise. And the hyenas looked up. If a buffalo had been caught and there was a genuine distress call, they'd probably have run off to have a look and see what was going on. Yeah, good question. Right, this is a roundabout where we saw Sindile yesterday. Do you see him anymore, Jean-Dre? I'm just going to get an update on the radio on this side.